This is a video I'm sure many of you have seen and or know of. A video from 2015 that became a bit of a meme titled Dog of Wisdom, featuring, as you can see, a dog in a plane with nonsensical noises being made whilst the dog's head and mouth moves. This video was huge for Joe, with it having around 75 million views as of the time of writing the script, and since, Joe has even made it his YouTube profile picture. I didn't actually learn of UkinoJoe this way, and actually found out about him from Eddsworld almost a decade ago. But what my main point here is supposed to be, other than telling you who he is that this animator from his most major and notable works has seemingly been someone who you wouldn't think I would make a video on. However, as you'll see soon, Joe is a bit notorious for some behaviours he has exhibited on sadly stupid places like Twitter, a place which is pretty much a disaster for most people. The majority of this video will discuss something I'd like to dub the March Meltdown, where in March 2021, Joe, had a meltdown. This started in the middle of the month, where he had a disagreement with El Cid out of nowhere, when El Cid replied to someone else on Twitter talking about how words don't upset him. Stating this clearly upset Joe, who then tried to state that the word problematic upset Cid, in which El Cid replied making fun of him for not having a job. This heavily angered Joe, who then went to his Discord server to vent, where he would randomly attack Cid's political beliefs, if those are even his anyway, I don't know the guy, and trying to show off that Cid apparently lost this exchange, which he probably didn't. A couple days later, Will Stamper decided to randomly make fun of Joe for being a vegan, and when Joe responded, Stamper continued to make fun of him by equating being a vegan to his sex life, describing it as confusing, lackluster, and unfulfilling. This was very out of the blue, and not actually to the fault of Joe. It is likely, at least according to only 11 days after this incident, that Stamper was on meth. However, not to be outdone, Joe would then proceed to state that Stamper did some grapey things towards him, because of some other guy replying to him about how being vegan isn't as beneficial as he thinks, which is clearly a logical jump to make. After crying on Twitter about the situation for a whole of a day, he talks about how Stamper was crying about the situation, which is obviously clearly evident. If you thought baseless accusations of grapey things when in a Twitter argument was bad, well, how about baseless accusations just for no reason whatsoever? Literally a day after the Stamper stuff, Joe continued his accusations, although this time against Rice Pirate Mick. Mick responded to this in a calm and collected way, talking about his own possible faults and inquiring about what situation he was talking about like he genuinely cared about what he was talking about, as I'm sure he didn't want to make him uncomfortable and does seem to be a nice person, although long-term viewers of my channel may not see that as the case.
Come on now.
Mick doesn't have anything.
Patreon.com/EmilyUkis. I only get paid when I produce.
I'm not even here.
Say it, goddamn.
I'm gonna fucking punch you in the...
Do it.
Joe could not come up with an answer to Mick, and actually didn't even bother to, having had already blocked him and refusing to detail the incident. The only response he really made about the whole incident was when he replied to Johnny Utah, aka Jeff, who got annoyed at Joe for the whole incident, as you would, where Joe says he is essentially a sympathiser to grapey behaviour. Joe would also talk about this in his Discord server, where he stated he's not trying to harm anyone and that he just doesn't like them, even after making baseless accusations of molestation. Joe created an NFT of the dog plane meme and had it listed for $2,500. Everyone knows about NFTs now, so I'm not really going to talk about it. But obviously with him talking about NFTs, the backlash followed soon after, with people telling him how stupid it was and how it was bad for the environment, the typical anti-NFT arguments. This made him incredibly mad on stream.
It would be a waste of energy to respond.
The fact is, and people don't fucking like this, but the fact is that it takes the same amount of energy to make a tweet as it does to make an NFT on Tezos. So, fuck you. Instead of making another tweet, I'd rather make another NFT. Those people are the ones wasting, not me. And they also, by the way, everyone lost their shit at me on Twitter, but all it did was help me. It elevated my post to like one of the top NFT posts on Twitter. So if you hate me, leave me alone. People respond to things on Twitter that we still do not know. It's the exact same thing as anti-vaxxers. Oh, I don't like it. It's new and I don't understand it, so I don't like it. People are fucking stupid. They don't do the research for themselves. They just believe in whatever consensus is going on. And they don't think before they speak, ever. They just post a stupid, this ain't it, chief, and think they've done something good, when in reality they've done nothing at all. So, you're mad at me for making an NFT? All I did was make a normal little post online. I'm mad at you for telling me that I'm doing something wrong when I know what I'm doing. You're the fucking idiots, not me. So fuck you. Kill yourself, I guess. Don't buy my fucking NFT. It's not for you. You don't have the money to buy it. So, who cares what you think?
He would slink back to his Discord server and for some reason compares the people who had been criticising him to anti-vaxxers. For some reason. However, what would really tick him off was the environment comments people were making about his NFT, which infuriated him and made him bring up his veganism to show how much of a good person he is. His anger towards the whole situation made him consider upping the price, further denying any possible interest in the NFT. On a lighter note, and a brief little tangent, in March 2022, Joe was called out by a person by the name of Michael Edwards on Twitter regarding Joe's stance on NFTs, as well as his stance on an animator strike that had been going on around the same time. As Joe is an animator, you may think that his stance would be quite clear with him supporting fellow animators and getting what they want. Well, Joe was actually very much against them, seeming very annoyed at these animators for their time on Twitter, with him gloating about their treatment. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have no idea what the strike was about, and I'm a fat lazy idiot, so I can't really be bothered to look it up, but as we can see by the amount of likes that both sets of tweets got, it seems evident that Joe's opinion was very much in the minority, getting a couple dozen at most compared to the 16,000 by Edwards. For a creator with over 1 million subscribers and who has been so successful, it does seem a bit surprising to see someone so aggressive to people who shouldn't really have an effect on him. These people do their own thing and he shouldn't really be going around fighting with them. This anger may be because he has unfortunately dropped off in views recently, failing to get over 1 million views on a video in the past 2 years, and while still reaching decent amounts of views, it is definitely a far cry from his past content, which reached incredible amounts of views in the past. There is actually a bit of a theme with the people talked about in this video, however, with the majority of them having strong links to Sleepy Cabin, a group of mainly animators who would record podcasts together called Sleepycast. Mick and Stamper would be members of this group, as well as Oni, who I've mentioned earlier on in this video, and who actually has ties to El Cid, with him editing some Oni Plays videos. Speaking of Oni Plays, Joe actually hates them too, with him being angry at them for being successful, which takes me on to why it seems as though Joe has been so angry at the topics and people I've brought up during this video. It seems as though Joe is a bit envious of the people around him, as many of the people who he has argued with have gone on to do other things instead of primarily relying on things related to YouTube animations, a section of the site YouTube has neglected and made extremely difficult to work with, something that seems to have affected Joe and he has since lost his happy, innocent persona and seems genuinely jaded, although obviously I know nothing about the guy. However, saying all of this, the majority of this video took place in March of 2021, well over a year ago, and trying to state that he has fully fallen is a ludicrous idea, but it isn't a good sign for the future. It is more than possible that Joe will continue on from his success in the future, and I wouldn't even say that would be out of the blue. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this shorter video. Been a while since I've done one of these. My Twitter and second channel are down in the description below, and I typically stream on Fridays and Saturdays at 11 PM GMT, and I hope to see you next time.